chances that I missed, some I held and slipped away. One street over where my memories exist, I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Today games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Robertson County, what you doing? This is 1100 WSGI. I'm your chum LaVern, and this is One Street Over. And another day, closer to Christmas. Oh my goodness, how many of you guys have been out hustling and bustling and doing all the things that we have to do to get ready for the Christmas season? I have a friend of mine that's a teacher, and she'd put up some little meme about just kind of a crazy, harried kind of day, talking about how that these are the things I try to do after school. And it was just so funny. But we all are just running around, just trying to get things done. And a priority for me, though, today is getting to know our new director of schools. Dr. Danny Weeks is in the house. Thank you, sir, for coming on in here.
Good morning.
Pull that microphone right to you there. And it's so funny because I reached out to you. I had at first thought that you were supposed to come in on the 1st of November.
Mm-hmm.
And I had it wrong, but it was December 1st. And I thought, okay, well, I just need to, you know how you're kind of like, well, do I just email them? What do I do? And so I sent you an email and I said, hey, we've had this relationship with the director of schools coming in and talking to us the day after the commissioner or the school board meeting. And I said, really, that relationship I had with Dr. Causey is the reason why I'm teaching. Mm-hmm. And so I sent you an email and you just right away said, yeah, absolutely. So I thought, well, okay, I didn't have any idea what you looked like. I've never met you. So I'm in class last week and I get a knock on the door and it's Dr. Osborne, my principal, and she's got this gentleman with her. And I'm like, oh, how are you? And, well, this is Dr. Danny Weeks. I'm like, oh, good to meet you. And I'm glad I didn't have to meet you on radio.
How about that? That's right. That is right.
That was good. So this is our director of schools, folks. If you see him out around town, this is him. But everybody kind of knows you already. I mean, you're home.
Well, this is home for me. And it's funny when we talked about Greenbrier High School a little bit. Greenbrier is my home. Grew up there. And the school system, I taught in Robertson County Schools for 27 years. It's funny you mentioned visiting your classroom the other day. I think I had band in there when I was a sophomore.
Oh, funny.
The school across the street, that's the middle school now, caught fire in the middle of the year. They were doing the construction on Greenbrier High School, and it wasn't quite ready, but they brought us on over because we had no place to go to school. So the classroom you were in, I had band, and then I think my senior year I had accounting in there. So familiar with that, familiar with the school, and like you said, Robertson County is my home. I've worked in Greenbrier. I've worked in Cross Plains, the East Robertson area. I've worked in the White House area, and spent the last 12 years of my career here in central office down in Springfield. So I've kind of worked in all the communities, and know a lot of folks, and it's good to get back.
I'm so excited because that's the cool thing is people who have mentioned you to me. They're like, oh, you're gonna love him. He's Well, we all know your bride. Because Annette
Right.
has been in. How long has she been working with Robertson County?
She started in 2020. No, I'm sorry, 2000. So she's been here 23 years.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! And that's the thing. She was probably one of the first people that I got to know
Right.
via the path that I took because that's her position.
Teacher
is to
licensing.
train- Yes,
Right,
exactly.
right.
And so she was really one of the first people that I got to know. Very helpful. Is I'll never forget it. It was so funny whenever. When they first hired me, I was like, what? It was just such a bizarre experience going through the licensing process. And the way it works, guys, for a career teacher, you get a license based upon the fact that you're doing your educational preparedness program and you have the career or the education background to
Right.
teach what you're teaching.
Right.
And so there's quite a process. It's not just like, hey, you want to come teach? No.
Right.
You have to be hired. You have to, number one, have an intent to hire if you're a career teacher. And then you have to go to the state and say, well, here's my credentials. And they say yay or nay. And I mean, it is not like a quick process. You have to go through it.
But at the same time, that
Yeah.
I think, unlike me, I went to school, wanted to be a teacher, got the education degree, came out and started teaching.
Right.
But I think that's such a good advertisement for anybody who might be listening this morning and thinking, I'm tired of my career, I need a change in career, looking to retire from my career and want to come and serve and give back to the community. And what a great way to do that. And the state's making that more and more possible. I didn't say easy, but possible. And so we're constantly looking for people who have a skill and a passion for their, it could be their content area, a passion for students and looking for those. And so you're a great example of that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And that's when my husband and I both like to tease that we have retired into teaching. And we truly.
Yeah.
And I actually had, I've had several in careers that have asked me about the process. They're like, I'm at retirement age, but I'm not ready to retire.
Exactly.
And I love the idea of pouring into students. And you talk about keeping you young. Just is fabulous. And they said, I've had several ask me about it. And it's been so interesting because I can bring that perspective of saying, well, here's what you do. Number
Right.
one, you've got to find a district that's looking for what you have to offer. That's your first step, really. And it's just amazing. I have a friend of mine that's in accounting, and they're actually up in closer into maybe out towards Mount Juliet up in
Right,
there. So
right.
they're not really I don't think they would be a candidate for us, though I was like, oh, you want to, because I know of, that we were
Right.
meeting some people. And
Right.
so I tried to talk her into it, and she's actually looking at next fall because I told her, I said, I actually know of some positions like right now because
Right.
we have somebody that's retiring at Greenbrier. And, and so there's positions available.
There are.
So I told
Right.
her, I said, come on. Well, tell me about the school board meeting last night. How did it go?
Oh, it was really wonderful. I'm learning, and of course the board's learning me as well. But before every board meeting, there's a planning session. And so that planning session, there was a lot of talk from our student services office and a lot of presentations from student services, particularly about how we serve the non-academic needs of our students. And so what our student services office does to help families. And I talked to them about removing barriers from students and their families. And so, what a time with the tornado and the storms coming through Springfield. What a good time for them to come in and talk about how we serve families and how we do that. So it started off talking about people who are homeless and how we find those people, identify those people, help them with clothing, help them with housing, help them find, just transportation and anything they need to get them to school. So our student services office is led by Miss Teresa Levitt, and Miss Levitt is, she has a staff of folks that work with homelessness, attendance, just, finding those ways to reach into families. And again, pairing that with what's just happened in our community is just, the timing couldn't have been better. But they spent a lot of time talking about that. We talked about attendance. We talked about how we serve those folks. And so during that planning session, is just, it's more of an educational time for our school board members so they can learn about what the different departments do and how they serve the community. So that's how we started. Also in the planning session, we talked a little bit about facilities, and there are several facility needs that I'm learning about, that some of them in the drawing stage, some of them in the preparation stage, some of them out to bid and find out how much they're being, were going to cost us to do, but several renovations needed. A lot of HVAC work is needed around the county, things like that. So they're working on those pieces. So that's the planning session. So that's a lot more discussion, just kind of conversational type things where it's not as formal as a school board meeting, but it's a time where we can interact and time where the board can learn from our staff what's going on. Let's say our staff, I'm learning too. So being new, I'm finding out what's happened not just the last 6 months since you've been without a director, but the history of where the building program is, where things are going, and along those lines. So during the regular board meeting, we started out the district provides and recognizes several folks at the start of every board meeting. That's really that's the exciting part of our job, is seeing the fruits of the labors. And told several people, it's not as much about what happens in our office, but it's what happens in your classroom, the things you were talking about. And so we started off with a group from Bransford Pre-K Center. They came down and they led the Pledge of Allegiance for us. And so I would say there are probably a dozen to 15, pre-kindergarten kids.
Cute factor.
It was great. And, they had that pre-K cadence to it, very, very slow and very, very detailed. But to know that they're learning those things in pre-K. They're learning that coming out. They were all dressed wonderfully, came out, just, starting the night off wonderfully. We also had a recognition from one of our elementary schools. We had a student who was actually, during lunchtime, kind of got choked on his food and his lunch. And so between his music teacher, who happened to be in the cafeteria at the time, his music teacher and the school nurse actually performed the high link maneuver and everything. Wow. And actually, we're going to say saved his life, took care of that issue.
Absolutely.
And so we recognize both of those teachers for their work and just, their ability to do that and going out of their way to do that. The child was there and his family was there, brought them flowers. So that was a really neat opportunity just to share and to see again a family coming in and saying, we appreciate what's going on in schools. Another removal of a barrier of something, not academic, but what a difference that's made in that family's life and all that. So we did that. And then the district every year selects teachers of the year. They select principals of the year, and they select supervisors of the year. So again, I'm learning that process, but throughout the fall, it's my understanding, teachers may nominate their principal to be principal of the year, and principals may nominate teachers to be teachers of the year. And so that process had been vetted, I guess, the last few weeks or so before I received that, or before I got here. And so last night, Miss Melanie Dickerson, who's been serving as the interim, she recognized those people at the board meeting. They got a nice plaque. They had their pictures made and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of preliminary celebrations and things. And again, that's one of the things that I love about our board, has that desire, and our staff does too, to want to be in a position where we're recognizing people for the great work that they do. And I think that's so important in our society today. So many people are out there, overly critical, overly negative, wanting to point out the negative things that are going on in life. And, I guess I just have a different perspective on that. I don't understand that perspective. But to come in and to be positive and to recognize people for the things that they're doing and to, say good job and to take a moment to, just to say, here's somebody who's changed our life. Here's somebody who's doing a great job in their position, and wanting those things to be recognized. And I think that's one foundation of something I'd like to really bring back, is just that continual staff celebration, staff recognition, helping people know they are making a difference in people's lives. And just like you said, I was doing a career, I was out doing my thing, and now I'm in and I'm serving children and, young adults, for your perspective, lots of young adults.
Young adults, for sure.
But they'll remember those things. And, somebody that's always focused on something negative, and somebody that's always looking for something wrong or something like that, I just think I think we can do it better as a society. I think we can do better as a school system. I think we can do better as a community. And so, those are the things that are exciting to me. So we start off every board meeting that way, trying to find, and I hate to say trying, we'll be looking for those things that are important and intentionally doing those things, and recognizing people with their work, no matter how big or small. So that's an exciting piece of that. In terms of business last night, for me, this was my first board meeting with this staff. So, seemed very typical and very, mirrored a lot of what we did in the other county that I was in. So, you look at human resources reports and, that's who's coming in, who's retiring, who's leaving, and different things like that. We looked at financial reports to see how we are. So financial reports through the first quarter. And by the way, we are in good shape at the first quarter and making sure that we're on board. So the reports that we give like that to the board, the human resources, the financial reports, the maintenance reports, those are things that I'll discuss with the supervisors that are over those departments. And then, get a good understanding. Are we on track? Are we not on track to do finances, human resources, the whole 9 yards? And so those are an opportunity for the board to see those reports, ask questions about those reports, see how those are going. So normal reporting there. One of the things that the board did take action on is they took action on us having a special session, a retreat session, a planning session, where it's really going to be the board and my first opportunity to sit down and do some, deep, intensive planning, I've changed jobs at a very unusual time in terms of the big picture of everything. So, it's kind of like there's a truck going down the road and you jump in and, see who's driving and where you're going. But
I like that. That's perfect. That's funny.
It's going to be a time for the board members to sit down and let's kind of catch up a little bit. We're going to do this late January. We'll get to catch up and see, where we've been. And where the board wants to go, what those goals are. And, a lot of people may not understand the structure, but I'm actually the only employee of the board. The board hires one person, and then it's my responsibility to hire staff, and then those staff, hire teachers, hire bus drivers, hire cafeteria workers, and all that. So as they share their goals with me, I'll share my expectations with the board as well. So it's an interactive process, and we'll get to know each other a lot better. We'll probably spend most of a Friday evening and probably most all day on a Saturday planning and taking care of that. So that planning session will be posted and advertised as a special session, and so we'll take care of that. They're the normal things again that I'm going to go back to.
Well, as far as that planning session, when do you expect that to happen?
It's going to be the weekend of January 26th.
Okay.
So 26th and 27th. So it's the end of January.
People kind of mentally say, okay, there's something I want to propose or suggest, something like that.
Right.
And it's so interesting that that you talk about the hierarchy, because that's something that I didn't really realize. I remember when Dr. Cause arrived after I got hired as a teacher, I said, "Well, you're my boss." He says, "No, Mr. Gregory is your boss." Mark Gregory.
Yeah.
And he said, but he was just saying, he says, that's who you go to.
Exactly. Yeah.
And there is a chain of reaction, but again, he was ultimately my boss,
Sure.
But he was like, no, you go to Mr. Gregory if you have an issue. And that's one thing we do really well in this county, I think, is the way it is set up. Was that the same for you because you were in Dixon County?
I was in Dixon County. Right.
Was it the same, or was it completely different?
It very similar. We had a lot of the same positions and the same title positions and things. So, but yes, a teacher such as you that taught career and tech classes. I had a CTE supervisor that oversaw the work that they did. Right. And again, just elementary supervisor, the elementary teachers through their principals report to that person. Secondary, to there. So very similar.
Very good. And if you're just joining us, we're talking with Dr. Danny Weeks. This is our new director of schools, and we are so excited to have him come in, setting up this relationship that we've had in the past, where on the Tuesday after the meeting that our director of schools comes in and just gives us an update on the school board meeting. And I do remind you that if it is available, you can go and watch it. It's a YouTube link, and I don't have the particulars on that, but if you go to Robertson County Schools, just search through the communications in the media. I'll try to get that link link and start posting it. But there, you can go and watch all the things. I don't know. Is the planning session videoed? I don't think
Usually
it is.
not, right.
Yeah, I think
Right.
it's just the school board meeting in and of itself.
And
That
let me
is.
throw a wrinkle into that.
Sure. Okay.
Just for last night, because of the storm damage and
Yes.
things like that, we did go ahead and record it. Our internet's down at our building. It's sporadic at our building right
Yeah.
now. So we did go ahead and record it. And as soon as all of the technical details get worked out, it'll be posted. So it is going to be out there. It's probably not right now.
Okay, well, and that's a good point because of with all the issues with the storms and stuff. We've got some things. Things are not quite working as they need to. And that's one thing. Let's kind of just to change topics for a second. Where are we as far as the kiddos getting to school? Because I know as far as Greenbrier, my husband teaches at Springfield, and he said he had quite a few missing students. I was like, well, I didn't. I mean, except for the usual flu and that kind of thing. But it's really just the Springfield kiddos that we're seeing that were impacted, right?
Right.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. And we took an opportunity to visit most of the city schools yesterday. Again, that's one of the things I'm trying to do is get around and meet people and see people. But, again, intentionally yesterday, either me or Ms. Dickerson, we were in, I guess, all of the Springfield city schools. I think the population that attends Crestview is probably where we saw the most absences.
Okay.
Crestview Elementary and Springfield High School had more absences than others. But Bransford pretty normal, Westside pretty normal, Cheatham Park pretty normal. So again, that's that zoned area over there, kind of west of the Kroger Annex and Kroger Complex and everything.
Well, and I had, there was a lot of people. It's like, why weren't we out of school Monday? And it's like, well, because it was just such a small cluster, even though it was a big impact. We've got a big county.
Yeah.
And you have to weigh that.
Well, and I do, but also as you say that, I really believe even after any kind of crisis or tragedy, normalcy is important, especially important to children.
Yeah.
And, when we don't take those decisions lightly at all. I mean, on snow days, on anything like that. But yesterday, you think about a home, and then we did have a couple of calls, saying the same thing. But, as you look at that, people at home without heat, very cold yesterday.
Yeah.
Our buildings are heated nicely.
You better believe it.
If you're at home and you don't have any way, electricity, any way to cook, any way to get food, we provide 2 meals to kids every day. And, moms and dads may have had to go to work anyway. So, what's a child going to do? But, we're there again to serve the needs of our community and to be able to say, our doors are open. It's warm in here. Come on in. We love you. We take care of you. We feed you, and then you get the education on top of that. How great.
Well, and I agree with you. I really do. And I think it was really important for my students when they came in to just have a place to share their stories. And because we're audio video driven, we have got a piece that my student, Jackson Dawson and Honor Summers, they were both very, very much in the middle of it. And Jackson works at the car wash that's next door to the Valvoline. And him talking about his experience having to take shelter. He, of course, has video of the tornado bearing down on them. Of course, who doesn't? And all of those things. It was important for them to be able to vent and just share. I mean, my students just were constantly, oh, where were you? And where were you? And we had some up in Hendersonville. One of my students was impacted as it came into Hendersonville, just all the different things.
Sure.
I think they needed to talk about it.
They do.
And I think it was a good experience. And to the point of it's heated and they can be fed. That's another very good point. So don't worry, guys. He's just going to let us out for snow days.
We'll have some snow days, I'm sure.
There you go. Talking with Dr. Danny Weeks. Let me pause and take a break here. This is our new director of schools. If you're just joining us, here he is. So say hello. And apparently I'm the only one that doesn't know you because were you principal at Greenbrier?
No, I actually went to Greenbrier High School, graduated there, but came back and taught. Was a math teacher there.
Okay. Were you ever a principal in our county?
I've been assistant principal at East Robertson.
At East Robertson.
Principal over at White House.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I forgot. You probably said all that a while ago, but My students go, I'm just so ADD, Miss Vivio. And I'm like, you're talking to the queen, sit down. Anyway, talking with Dr. Danny Weeks, our new director of schools as of December 1st. And so if you have any questions, throw them up in comments and I will share those with him. But we do need to pause and talk about Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. How do you get in touch with them? Best way, just get on the Google machine and just put in Rebecca Richards, Exit Realty Garden Gate team, and you're going to find her website will pop up. It will take you to a unique website for her, a different one for her husband, even though they're married and they help each other. Barry is always reminding me we're in competition. We're separate agents and we have our own thing. He's actually the broker here in Springfield. And you'll find him. He has an office there on the downtown square. Rebecca is a agent out of White House. Her number, if you want to give her a call, is 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. But again, if you want to contact them, you can Google either one of them. If you've got things right here if you need something in the downtown area, you can reach out to Barry. And when you go to his webpage, you're going to find out the unique marketing background he has. He was the director. He was a vice president of a media marketing company for 17 years in Nashville before he went full-time with real estate. Bringing that unique marketing ability to the real estate community is priceless when you're trying to sell property. When people go flipping through those listings, they're going to see your property in the absolute best light. The photography, the videography is going to be excellent. He can do the walkthrough tours, do drone footage. He has brought equipment in and shown my kids. He did a little presentation that he did with the media marketing company showing just animation and things like that to my students last year. And he'll be somebody that I'll bring in every year to talk to my students because of his background. And it's just, he's always willing to work with the community. Rebecca's the same way. You find them, there was a picture of them at one of the parades over the weekend that I saw. They're just out there in the community being involved because they're cross-Planians. They've been there for 27 plus years. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. My friends, Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team, one of our longtime sponsors of this program. When you talk to them, please let them know that U-Turn sent you. Thank them for sponsoring. Talking with our new director of schools, Dr. Danny Weeks, but not new to Robertson County. His bride has stayed here, kept the home fires burning. You know that commute and all that. I was working in Texas for about a couple of years, and that's a difficult thing. You're
Right.
gone on the weekends, and I mean, some weekends I didn't get to come home because it was such a distance. But that is tough. So welcome home.
Well, thanks so
God
much.
bless you.
It's
That's got to be just such a that was a season.
It is, and I, when I was hired in Dixon, they expected me to establish a residency there, and I understand that. I think the director of schools position is so vital to the community to be a part of it. So, bought a little house in a town called White Bluff, which is a small on the east side of the county, and I would. My typical week on Sundays after church here and spending a little time at home. I'd go back on Sunday night and, just completely immersed in the community there and, going to ball games, going to band concerts, going to all those things, taking care of school business and doing that, county commission meetings, the whole 9 yards. And then whatever ball games were on Friday night, as soon as that ball game was over, come back to Greenbrier and spend time with family on Saturday and everything, go worship on Sunday and then do it again.
I tell you, God bless you. What a daunting call for 12 years.
12 years, yeah.
Wow. I know you've got to be just like, I'm home. God bless you. What a Christmas gift. I mean, just here right at Christmas is perfect. That's wonderful.
Well, and the part of it too that's been a little uncomfortable is just getting established with those new routines again. Trying to do that. Trying to consolidate 2 households because in 12 years, you accumulate a lot of things.
You better
and so,
believe it.
The normal things, putting 2 households together to come back to one, that's been busy.
Just after 2 years, the stuff I brought back from Dallas, I've still got boxes, and I'm like, oh, that came from Dallas. I don't even know what's in it. It's in storage. I'm like, my husband will be like, yeah, and we need to get rid of it. I know, honey. But you do, because you have to have a separate set of dishes and all of those things, and you try to donate what you can, but it just takes time to go through that stuff.
And this is a busy job, so I hadn't had a whole lot of time just to pick up and stop. I was working in Dixon. You mentioned coming here on December the 1st. I was working on December 29th in Dixon.
Goodness.
I'm sorry, November 29th.
Goodness.
So 1 day off.
Have they hired your replacement yet? Or are they in the search?
They're in the search process.
Yeah.
They've hired an interim, and so that person will take over. I think they've just advertised, and probably coming out this week, I would think, with some finalists maybe.
It's such an interesting journey. How you guys have been doing that. When they told me that y'all were having the two house, I was like, God bless them, because we did it for a period of time, and that is difficult. Now you mentioned sports and extracurricular and all that. So do you have a favorite sport that you really follow well, or you just can't pick a favorite? Because I mean, I love basketball. That's what I played, and I try to, have an interest in all.
Right.
I'm having a hard time getting to any games right now because it's just so busy.
It is busy.
And my husband is, since he teaches at Springfield, and he's got a deep athletic background. He's assistant coaching some of the middle school stuff up at Coopertown, and so it's just. I've been, I've gone to some of his stuff, and it's just hard to get to everything. My goodness.
I love girls sports, so I'm going to go ahead and say that. My daughter was an athlete, and so softball is one that I really love.
Okay.
But she taught me to love volleyball. So volleyball, if I wanted to go watch a sport, volleyball is probably the first one. If I had my pick. There's nothing like a good Friday night football game, and I hit many of those. But my preference would probably be girls volleyball, girls softball, then football.
Interesting.
It is, and it's funny, when I was in school, those sports were just getting started.
Yeah.
Even we didn't have those to watch. So learn to like those. Don't know that I understand all the rules and everything, but I've been watching long enough that I really enjoy those. But I think it's important, again, for the director as well as all of our staff to be involved in the lives of our kids and to see what they're doing. So going to be more of a challenge here. I had 2 high schools in Dixon, so now having 5 plus the alternatives and things. So trying to get around, and so I'm trying to do some moderation. Also a musician, so bands, fine arts are very important to me. So I think we've got a couple of band concerts this week.
We've got a fine arts festival coming up, a fine arts show at Greenbrier on Thursday night, as a matter of fact.
So, I'm trying to hit as many of those, and particularly with holiday concerts, things going on. I know there's one tonight on my calendar, so I'll be
What do you play?
I'm a keyboardist. I'm also a brass instrument, so probably a little out of practice for that, but keyboards for sure.
Oh, you probably like Dr. Wilson then over at Greenbrier. Have you met him?
I have, sure.
Oh, he's fascinating. Yeah. You talk about talented. Wow. I mean, our music director, goodness, he's got quite a resume. He is so talented, but he'll be blushing. But and what you were talking about, getting involved with the different things and learning it. Volleyball's not one that I need to check that out.
Yeah, you do.
Because I had never been interested in soccer. And then I had a couple of soccer girls, Neely and Blair, my girls that were in my class. And so I started going to their games and just really loved it, and there's so many, I would love to get to everyone. I had one of the basketball girls, Ellie, was in my cat time when I first started. And so I really want to get involved in the women's basketball and watching that. And I've got some basketball players in my class and just trying to find time for all of it. Once I tell everybody, this time next year, I'll be done with my educational preparedness program. And we'll get, because I want to be involved in the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and all of that as well. And I just have got to finish my education program first. I've just got to get that done. Once I get that behind me, I feel like I can go, okay, let's go.
Right.
And because I really do want to I've enjoyed watching my husband with the working with the kiddos at the middle school. And it's been so rewarding, and he's so excited about it and having so much fun with them. It's just so it is so rewarding working with these students. And I just cannot say enough about it.
You mentioned those sports, and we have most every sport that TWSAA sanctions, and so. Again, I just believe it's important for kids to get involved, whether it's sports, whether it's band, whether it's art, whether it's, choir, whether it's a club or an academic club or, a class like yours where they, work on projects and project-based things. It's so important for them to find that place to connect. They connect and they develop those relationships with each other. They get to know a staff member, on a little bit more personal level than they do just sitting in an average class. But, there's that sense of belonging. There's that sense of touching and developing and relations, and so important.
Well, and it's just even one of my girls that played soccer wanted me to write a letter of recommendation for college, and I was so touched
Yeah.
that she felt that way,
Right.
and I was like, well, yeah, absolutely, because I think that was because of that because I went to their soccer game.
Yeah.
Truly. I don't think that would have been a request had I not gotten that relationship going. So I'm really anxious to really develop that even more. But just if you're not involved in the lives of kids, guys, there are tutoring programs. If maybe, you're not a career teacher and maybe this is not something that you feel called into like my husband and I have, you can come in and tutor. You can work with these kids. There's so many things you can do if you want to pour into the lives of these students. Cannot say enough about it. I had a question on my mind, but again, escaped me. Dr. Danny Weeks is here. He's our new director of schools. So I kind of interrupted the review of the meeting last night. Do you recall where we got to?
Well, really, it was a very short meeting.
Okay.
The December meeting, there weren't, there was important stuff. We talked
Right.
about those things, but really in terms of other business, it wasn't. It was a very short meeting, probably 45 minutes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, why not? I just thought of my question. I just remembered it. We were talking about the sports and that we do have most everything that's sanctioned. What would it take for us to have some swim teams? Swimming is something that has always been I would have loved to have had. Of course, I'm from a little old county school up in West Kentucky, just outside of Mayfield. I went to Lowe's High School. I mean, the only things we had we didn't even have football when I was a kiddo.
Wow.
We did not get a football team in Graves County until they consolidated the schools to Graves County. My brother was one of the first to graduate from Graves County High School. And that's when we established a football team. So we had softball, baseball, and basketball. That was it.
Very traditional.
And very traditional. And so, but I've always been a really strong, gifted swimmer. I would have loved to have had access to those kinds of opportunities. What would it take for us to get that? Because once I've got my EPP, I'll help you coach it. Because I would love to do that.
And a lot of things like that. And I know it's a sport. I know it's very active.
Yeah.
I'm glad that. But those kind of function as kind of co-curricular more than a school sponsored thing. So it's more of
What
a
does that
club,
mean?
more of a club type sport.
Okay.
It's almost like an academic club. So it's a sporting type club. I think again. The trouble with it not being a true, I want to use the word sport in air quotes, everybody can see that. The TSSAA doesn't sanction that right now. Now there is discussion about that. No, it's not even a sport in Tennessee. So, the first thing, if somebody came to us and said, we want to start a team at school, well, there's nobody for you to compete against because, schools, they're in the club mode.
That.
So, it's not that we wouldn't allow that to happen. It's just that, it would be more of a, kind of side, right on the border.
Kind of like
of
we do
school.
with Skills USA and all of those
exactly.
the clubs that we do that are
Right.
associated with our careers.
Right.
I did not know that. Okay.
I know TSSAA is looking at adding some sports, and I heard that was on the agenda. I heard girls flag football, lacrosse, which is really again not a southern sport, but I think lacrosse just got added the last couple of years or so, and so the sports programs are growing, and maybe that's something that would too.
I did not realize that. That's one thing. As much as I played basketball because it was something to do, and also too. When I was in high school, I was over 6 feet tall. Now I'm old, so you tend to shrink a little bit. So yes, I'm not 6'1" anymore, but I was so tall. If I had not played ball, I would have been just
Right.
why are you not on the ball court?
Right.
And it's so funny because they had just brought back women's basketball whenever I was in middle school, and the only reason I didn't start in middle school was because my daddy said the shorts weren't decent. That traditional,
yes.
very, very conservative Christian background.
Right.
And he said, when they get decent uniforms for y'all, you can play. And that's truly, I mean, he would not let me play until they got the shorts at a decent level. And I'll never forget that. And so I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not, but, and we loved to tease the Tennessee girls. My friend Muriel Barnett, love her. I don't know if you know Muriel.
Dude.
She was a all-star. I mean, she was a basketball
that?
all-star. And I still have people that are going, oh, yeah, she was awesome. But they played half court for a while. I think they finally played, I think they played full court before she finished. But we used to just, we were like, yeah, them Tennessee girls are playing half court up here in Kentucky.
Right.
We throw it down, and we were something else. Now, we were just all big old country girls, but we had a good time. I digress. I'm talking with Dr. Danny Weeks. We've kind of covered the school board meeting, and we're just getting to know each other. Let me go ahead and pause, though. I'm going to take another one of our breaks here. One more break that we need to mention. And if you have, again, any questions for our new director of schools, please, by all means, mention it and put it up in our comments, and I will share that with him. But they had their first school board meeting with our new director last night. And so he's just kind of in that transition phase of getting in here and getting back into it. And of course, coming in on Christmas, we're going to have the time off and stuff. But if you have any questions for him, by all means, post them and I will share those with him. But I want to mention our sponsor for today is Mr. Perry's Music. Love Perry Myers. If you have not gotten to know, now Katie, she sponsors on Thursday. There are a couple, Katie and Perry Myers. So excited to have them part of our WSGI family now, because I've had Perry in here many times just to talk about what he's doing there at Mr. Perry's Music. And if you've not discovered that, you can't miss it there on Highway 41, heading out as you're heading in, toward Nashville. You see it there on the right as you're coming out of town. But they have Mr. Perry's Music signs saying they sell instruments, they have lessons. And the unique thing about Mr. Perry's Music, if my grandson lived local, he would be involved because he's so interested in music. He's got a cousin that is just a gifted guitar player, and my grandson's wanting to learn drums, but he's in Mount Juliet. But if you're local, you can hook up with all the things they have going on. The way they work there, they give the kids an opportunity to play in a band. And if you're playing music and just by yourself, it's just not much fun. I play a little bit of several different instruments, and one of the things that's kind of held me back is I've never had anybody just to sit down and play with. And so they bring you in and they work on the school semester. They're finishing up their fall semester right now. If you want your kids involved in the spring semester, you need to enroll right now so they can be a part of a band. They'll bring them in and get that established. They'll decide, they may come in thinking they like guitar, and then they move over to drums or keyboards, or maybe they're a vocalist. Maybe they've never really discovered their voice. I got a kid in my class right now, amazing voice, but he's just kind of, not real confident about it. I would love to get him involved with Mr. Perry's Music, but it's www.mrperryspringfield.com. www.mrperryspringfield.com. I've got another student that is actually in one of the bands, and they're doing their own gigs now. It's so funny. They started with Mr. Perry's Music, and they're a band, and they go out and play weddings and do different things, and amazing guitarist. I'm not going to call him out because I don't have his permission to, but discover your kid's hidden talent. Give them the gift of music for Christmas. Mr. Perry's Music, www.mrperryspringfield.com. They do have great deals right now on gear. If you want to go by and see them, you really need to reach out to him and make an appointment, though, because when he's there, he's usually teaching. They're there most of the time in the afternoons. He does help Katie with her Katie Did It company. We'll talk about that a little bit more on Thursday about all the interior design stuff that he does in the morning. But reach out to them at www.mrperryspringfield.com, or you can check out katiediditdesigns.com and contact either him or Katie about all the things that they have going on, and thank them for sponsoring our little thing we call One Street Over, and tell them U-Turn sent you. We do have in-house Dr. Danny Weeks. He is our new director of schools. I'm done with my ads now. We got just about 20 minutes. What are we going to talk about?
Let's see. I don't know.
I'll tell everybody. I'll have people I'll invite to come in, and they're like, "We're going to do an hour? How are we going to do an hour?" I said, "Well, we're just on the porch talking, getting to know each other." So as we, let's see, I got Lee Marie is sending up something. We'll get to that in just a second, Lee Marie. But let's just do kind of talk about. Is there anything you want people to know about you as you're coming in to this position? Is there something you're just like, man, this is me?
Well, I hope people know and will see over a period of time. There's that. I hope people will see me as personable and approachable, and and I am passionate about what I do. So it's I think it's important work. talked to everybody during COVID. Everybody talked about critical infrastructure and people who are critical in their positions. But I believe teachers, I believe education is a critical infrastructure for our future. I think it's everything we do, and so I take it very seriously. We have high expectations for staff. We're sharing those. We're going to get those down and make sure everybody understands that. So, I want our community to be vested and have that value for an education. When I was in school, there were a lot of people that say, well, I just went to that school or I went to that school. I want them to be proud of what they're doing. I want us to have a community pride for all of our schools. And, I'm not saying we don't. I'm saying that's one of those things that's important to me. And I want to make sure that we can help, see the schools as a part of the community, not just a silo or something, particularly for families that don't have a student in school. Whether it's grandkids, whether it's nieces and nephews, I want them to be involved in there. And the last thing I want them to think about is buying something from a fundraiser. It's so much more than that. It's being a part of that school, contributing and again making us all better. That's so important to me.
I love that. I was very well said. Very well said. And I think that's one of those things. It's so funny that you talk about the involvement, and it's like, that's my school. Just, my husband started at Springfield just in the fall, and I've been at Greenbrier now. I'm in my second year, and it's so funny already how we're like Bobcats.
Yeah.
Spring, what are they? The jackets. The jackets, yes. I was like, okay. And my husband would be like, oh. Because we already have this like little rivalry in our house, and because those are our schools,
right?
We joke around that, you need to come to Springfield, Miss Vivio. No, Mr. Vivio, you need to come to Greenbrier. Honestly, we both have gotten kind of vested in not kind of, very vested in our schools. We're like, this is mine, and so we just love our space, and we love our schools, and we love the camaraderie of it, and I don't know, just come and try it, guys. You just have no idea. And if you're not on a teacher path, again, there's so many volunteer opportunities. I was just thinking about how that if you don't really know how to get involved, talk to them through the Raise Your Hand program, through United Way that comes in and does tutorial programs, coming in and helping teachers. Just talk to a teacher. If you've got an elementary teacher in your life, Amanda Jagger is dear friend. Her mom, Sally Shaman, they're my neighbors. She was one of our teachers of the year last year, and just an amazing young teacher. And I know Sally is so involved in her daughter's class. So if you know a teacher, especially an elementary teacher, go in and help them read into the kids and all of these things. Because here's the thing: as you build those relationships with those kids, you're going to want to go to their sporting events, and they're going to see you cheering them on. They're going to see you being invested in their lives, and they're never going to forget it. I just cannot say enough about finding a way. If so many people want to criticize the education program,
right.
But it's like, if you really want to make a difference, get in there and get involved in one of these kids' lives.
And business.
That's how you make a difference.
Business owners that want to come and we will continue to look for ways to provide work-based learning and internships and things like that. So, just saying, I've got a position open. If you had somebody that wants to come in and learn, we vet those kids and we get them out in schools and jobs and opportunities to learn the profession. What if I'd gone through school and decided, invested 4 years in there and then decided I didn't like teaching? But we have opportunities to put kids out. So maybe somebody's got a flexible schedule. Maybe they can't work for the school system every day, but maybe they're off a couple of days and want to come sub, a part-time basis. Driving a bus, if somebody has a commercial
Mr.
license.
Heineman's going, yes, need bus drivers.
And whether or not you're driving a bus every day, a regular route, maybe you want to drive the ball team to a sporting event or something like that. So, I mean, there are all kinds of opportunities and ways that anybody who wants to be involved can be.
Yeah, and you will just make such a difference in the lives of these kids. I think about getting involved in, because I've got the Brian Pulley and Tiffany Thompson. I don't know if you know them. They're the United Way reps that come in once a week. And Brian has been involved in the Big Brothers program. And that's a way you can get involved there and start a relationship with one of these kiddos that are in our school systems. There's so many ways to get involved in these kids' lives and to help them. And my friend Lee Marie, that is, of course, one of our producers here and also does the Go Show on Wednesday. She's very involved in a lot of organizations around that are very concerned about our test scores. And that's one thing. She's asking this question. So I think in all fairness, I need to put that out there since she's proposing it. So, with our test scores not being awesome, would you say that you have a plan moving forward? What is your, first response to that? Because I know you're probably getting that question.
Yeah.
What are we going to do about this?
Right.
That's the first thing. What's your plan?
Right.
So, what is the plan? What do you? Your reaction?
I'm a mathematician by nature. Go back to me teaching. I was a math teacher, so data and using data to make data-driven decisions is so important to us. And again, I don't know where the county's been to this point, but making sure that our teachers are equipped with the knowledge that they need to know. You took the test last year. We need to know what you were good at, what you weren't good at, what you know, what you don't know, and how we can find ways to remediate if you're behind, or how we can find ways to intervene, just to close those gaps of what knowledge pieces you may have missed. And so being able to use that in your classroom as a classroom teacher, being able to take that data and, the technology's there now to help teachers and to help our staff provide that information to teachers and get better. The curriculum is what it is. The testing process is what it is. The accountability model is what it is. But how we use that data to make a difference in the lives of those kids. And again, it's what happens in the classroom. It's that skill that teacher has to present whatever it is, math, science, language, those skills, those tested subjects. So working with those teachers and making sure we have people in our office that are equipped to help support them. But again, I go back to district level work. District level work is to help remove the barriers from those students. Students come into school and they're worried about, we talked about their homes. They're worried about their home. They're worried about not having food to eat. We want to remove those barriers. But then our instructional team needs to add that value back to that classroom where they can do that. I have no doubt that we have high quality instructional materials, but we want to make sure we have those materials and supplies that the teachers need for that, that they're completely aligned. And we also want to make sure the teachers understand exactly what's being tested. The way the state standards are presented and shared with teachers, they're complex. They're very detailed, but they're so broad at the same time. And so making sure that we're using the same language that's on the test. And I'm not saying teach to the test, but we need to use that same language, when we're talking about that. As a math teacher, the words numerator, denominator, when we're talking about fractions, we need to make sure we're using those as we're providing instruction. We need to make sure that we're consistent in what we do. Whether it's a test that's using a calculator or not, there are pieces of our tests that, students can use calculators. Well, they need to know how to do that, not just on test day or not the week before, but that needs to be a part of that instruction all the way through. So, there's so many pieces that we need to look at and see where we are. I don't come in with magic bullets and magic programs by any way. It's really just a matter of finding those needs. I'm also thinking that, we want to see what we need to do. I use the word preschool, not necessarily a formal preschool, but before our families. How can we support those families that are new parents? Kids don't come with our owner's manual. So, what do we do to help those students and those families get prepared to come to school? There's so much that, they're sitting on an iPad or something like that, maybe not interacting, but, how can we turn those into positive preschool experiences to help students when they come in be ready to read, ready to learn, know how to function in a classroom and things like that. And I think COVID, particularly where I was, COVID kind of damaged that.
Oh, yeah.
And so socially, academically, and emotionally. So how can we overcome some of those barriers as well? So, we're going to be looking at how we can better serve the community, getting students ready to come to school.
It's so funny because I had our book bus ladies in here a couple of weeks ago, and that's one thing that they're going into communities with the it's not they don't call it the book bus, it's the book bus. Yeah. I keep calling it bookmobile because that's my memory, right. But it's such a wonderful program.
Yeah.
And I've got a stack of books, guys. I've got them for you. I told them I was going to bring them by, but the Teacher Center, and that's another amazing place that people don't realize. You're right.
Right.
So many teachers. There's so much to learn when you come in, and it's like, okay, are you aware of this? Are you aware of this?
Right.
Are you aware of this? And that's one thing you're talking about. What are they? What is being tested? And that's one of the initiatives I think that's wonderful within the career and technical education right now. It's like, how can I help the math teachers? How can I help the history teachers? How can I help the English teachers? What are the things that I can bring into my curriculum that will support the tested subjects? And so that's one of the reasons why I have my students write a lot. Incomplete sentences and complete
Exactly.
paragraphs, and
Right.
we talk to them the history of broadcasting. How can we tie that into just history and the things that we can do? I'm having a hard time bringing math into it, but I'm working on it. When it comes to the science of it, there's the scientific part of it, and so there's ways that we can teach
Sure.
the subjects that they're going to be tested on that give us the the accreditation that our schools need,
Right.
and we can support those teachers, because and that's a very good initiative, I think, for the career and technical side.
You mentioned, and again, I taught math, I guess, for 8 years, and it's so fulfilling now to have kids come back and say, I wish I'd paid more attention in class because I'm using this stuff in my career, and as a teacher, 25, 30 years ago, it's kind of tough to explain, well, how am I going to use these algebra equations and how am I going to do this in my career? But, as you go out and you see people, it's so fulfilling to go out and just have those kids come back and to say, hi, or, enjoyed your class or didn't like your class at all, but, those kind of things. But, it is a very rewarding job.
Yeah, it really is. Well, we're excited you're here and excited to see what's ahead for us. And I'm just very thankful for the opportunity. I cannot say enough about it. Cannot recommend it enough. If you're in that retirement phase, and I got to tell you something, guys. If you have retired and you don't have some structure in your life, get some structure in your life, and this is a great way to do it. It's like Dr. Weeks was saying, whether it be come be a sub. Drive a bus, and driving bus. I used to drive a bus. It is not hard. It's actually kind of fun, and it's kind of neat when you learn how to back up those big old things. But and no, Dr. Heinerman, I'm not going to start driving a bus. He found out that I was, because when my kids were in school, I drove part time, and he's like, we could get you licensed again. I'm like, I'm a little busy right now, but he's always teasing me that we could put you back behind the wheel, Miss Vivio, no problem.
Right.
But it really is. You build these relationships with these kids. You talk about keeping you young. If you're in retirement age and you're looking for something for that structure, I cannot recommend enough getting into the school systems, whether it be a sub, whether it be a bus driver, whether it be a teacher's aide, whether it be a full-blown teacher. If you've, I'm amazed at the people who have education that would put them in the classroom and they're not using it.
Right.
Isn't that fascinating?
It
There's a lot of people out there.
And particularly at high school level, if you have that content area, you maybe have a math degree or a science degree or something, it's relatively easy to pick up those education classes.
I have a friend of mine who actually has, I think, a master's in education and an English background. And I'm like, why are you not teaching? And he just hasn't made the jump from working for the state. And I said, well, you still be working with the state.
Right.
But it's just, I've really been encouraging him to pursue it because we need English teachers. And he would be an excellent one. And you know who you are. I won't call you out on the air, but you know who you are. And there are several friends of mine. But I was stunned because what he's doing is not, I'm like, why are you not teaching? Because, I mean, I think he could be in the classroom tomorrow. Yeah, I truly, because of his education background.
We could probably find a way.
Yeah. That's what I told him. I said, you could really be in the classroom right away. Talked to Dr. Danny Weeks. Got just a couple of minutes here to wrap it up. Anything else that you want to share before we finish up our first visit together?
Our first visit.
Yeah.
Again, we're just, we're out trying to make our way around the county. We're going to try to hit some Joe Burns schools today, Cooperton tomorrow. So just going around. There are lots of other events at Shop with a Cop is today. So again, a way that we're trying to partner with the community to help some kids and some needy families today. So I think we'll be out there this morning and helping some kids go through and select some things they want to do, working with that. And I mentioned there's so many activities going on right now. The holiday concerts that are out there. So hope the public comes in, supports their kids, supports the schools and things like that, and enjoys the holidays. They're coming up. They're there.
Well, and I'll tell you, with mentioning the holidays, let's kind of recap some people are kind of curious about the way the schedule works. For Robertson County, at least the high schools, and I'm not sure about the elementary, for the high school, next week, the way they work it, we'll have a full day, a full education day on Monday. And the way it will work is because we're on the block schedule, the finals for third and fourth block will be on Monday afternoon. And then we'll come in on Tuesday and you'll have the finals for the first and second block. And then the students, with permission, written permission, this is Greenbrier, but I think this is pretty much countywide, will have the opportunity to leave middle of the day on Tuesday if you're in high school. But then on Wednesday, that's kind of the makeup day because some kids, could be sick on Monday or Tuesday and need to take one of those finals.
Right.
They can come in and take that in on the half-day schedule on Wednesday. And again, I don't know what the elementary and middle school schedule looks like, but I know that's the high school schedule. So in reality, if your high school student saying we don't have to go to school on Wednesday, they are correct if they've got everything done.
Right.
But if they're missing anything, that's their last opportunity to really get it done. And then we'll be out of school. The teachers go back on that, I think the 5th.
I believe that's right.
And then that following Monday is when the kiddos come back of January. So we got a good break. We got a little bit longer break than a lot of people and just, have fun. But that's kind of how, to unpack it if you're curious about that. And be watching our Greenbrier audio and video production class because we'll unpack that for you in a little news break. And there's actually a news story out there that already unpacks that. Any other parting words before we say goodbye? Just
again, we're excited to be back. We want to see. We want to present ourselves as customer service friendly. So, if you call our office, my expectations is somebody gets back with you within 24 hours.
Awesome.
So
very good. God bless you. And welcome back, Dr. Weeks.
Thanks so much.
Thank you guys for being a part of what we have going on here, one street over. This is 1100 WSGI. Now, remember, tomorrow, I've got Trent Cobb coming in, going to update us on what the Fair Board was doing with all the relief going on. He's going to kind of give us some updates from he knows everybody, and he'll kind of give us an update on how things are going to recover here in the county-wise from his perspective and his understanding, really as a builder as well. So get ready for that. Welcoming Trent Cobb back to the show tomorrow, one of my good friends, and we'll look forward to having you here as well. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless.